you mentioned earlier, I had the kind of, you didn't say the word fortitude, but you kind of implied like I had the fortitude, right? When that teacher did not acknowledge me, right? As the math whiz that I was being and acting out at that moment, that I had the fortitude to kind of continue on and not let that kind of crush my spirit. What allowed me, I know why. Like, I know, the reason why I was able to continue. And the reason why is because I learned from a very young age, and I do think it's related to learning math from a very young age. When people started trying to tell me that I was better than other people, or that other people were better than me, I never believed any of that. I knew from a very, very, very young age that that was not true. So every kind of corollary to those thoughts never really took for me. The programming didn't take because I somehow, I don't know exactly how, I know what, I don't know how, but I do know that I had a realization of our common humanity from a very young age. And when stuff started intruding, starting to try to program me to think otherwise, I rejected the programming. It was easy for me. And I saw from an early age that it was not easy for other people and that the programming took for most people. So I saw this kind of difference between myself and others from a very young age, but I knew that that difference was not something that was like innate within me or natural within me. It was basically luck of the draw. And so, it was crazy growing up having that realization. Because I would say that how I just articulated it to you is very close to how I understood it at like 6 years old.
Right.
Now I didn't have the context again to place it, but I did understand the human aspect of it. And so it's now complicated because people who grow up without that foundation, right? You start following those snaking paths from a dehumanistic point of view. Not only do you follow them, but you're encouraged to follow them by your country, by your family, by your friends, by the system, by your school, by your mentors, and then now you've done that. Now you follow that. And then at a certain point down the road, reality intervenes and you realize what you've done. That's kind of most people's trajectory at this point. So I actually do agree with it's easier to, what did you say? It's easier for young men versus...
Yeah, that's not me. That's not me. That's the great Frederick Douglass. It's easier to build strong boys than broken men,
That's right. And I agree with that. I think that instilling the proper values in Black men, making sure that they feel valued, making sure that they know they're valued, whether they feel it or not, in fact, but whether they had that internal answer that I had that said, you are a human person, you have value. No matter what anyone says, other people do not define that for you. That's something that's within you. I knew. So all of those arrows that I took, despite succeeding by anyone's measure, all of those times I was dismissed or overlooked or castigated unfairly, inappropriately, all the racialization, the negative stereotypes, the negative associations that impacted the things that I tried to do to improve other people's lives, improve my own life, all of those things, I was able to weather the storm and come to the point where we're at now, where, it's the time for action as it always was, right?
Absolutely.
We got to bring more people into the fold. I guess one thing I want to ask you, brother, next is how do we do that, bro? How do we bring more people into the fold?
And that's a great question, you know. And I wish I had the I wish I had the answer, you know. Um, I have this saying I've been saying for a couple of years now, and is, education through communication. You only know what you know. Um, and if you don't know that there's currently a game being played with multiple moving parts, you're probably not going to win that game.
I call it a multi-dimensional problem myself. The
It's
math kicks it
very,
in me.
very multidimensional. Um, and, we cannot be so complacent and okay with that, right? My wife always says, you got to know the rules to break the rules, right? We have to know the game to play the game. We have to speak like you are. We have to be taking action. We have to be engaged. Um, we have to be engaged for those who are not yet to that part of the journey, right? Now, you know, it, it when you so with my grandson, you said you spoke about the arrows that you had to endure. I think the armor is speaking those positive affirmations into our young people. You are strong. You are intelligent. You are handsome. You are capable. You are worthy. You are loved. Hopefully, they carry that with them to endure those arrows, and then we can start to now, once we have them. So let me say this: you asking how we get people involved. Well, in my local community college, there's a 13,000 students. Less than 7% are Black males. Juxtapose that with our county juvenile population, and it's 95% Black. So we have to we have to change those numbers. We have to flip those numbers. And once we flip those numbers, now knowledge is a problem. Now knowledge is dangerous. Now we can start to get the ear of our young people and say, hey, listen, this is how we fix this. This is how we dress this. Well, if you know the rules, to break the rules, then you got to know the game to change the game, right? And so right now, we have young people who don't, and I will be honest with you, I asked like 2 or 3 young Black, do you know Dr. Martin Luther King? And honestly, they was like, no. Now, that's not their fault. I don't want to blame them. I'm just saying this is where we are, where our young people aren't getting the right information at introductory levels of college. I'm sorry, of school, K through 12. This, I want to say, man, I know I'm everywhere, but I got to answer your question the best I can. How do we get people involved? We are only 60 years removed from segregation. We're trying to dismantle, deconstruct, reimagine a system 500 years or so in the making. We need a specific schedule with specific, like you said, this is multi-dimensional we're dealing with, right? We need folks like you having these platforms, right? We need young people protesting, and not necessarily in the violent sense of what they're sensationalizing now, but protesting the system. We need people in places of political change where now it becomes written policy that you cannot do this, or this cannot be acceptable. Because we can march and yell and scream all day, but until it gets in a written word, it's really nothing. Now it's ambiguity, it's just, it can be changed and all of this. We get people involved by first educating them, right? I forgot who said it, but I know it's at Tuskegee University, could have been Booker T. Washington, removing the veil of ignorance. We need education so we can inform our young people. This is how I'm 53 years old. My time on this planet probably won't allow me to see that next chapter of this change. And I'm fine with that. But I think we can get there if we address our education of our people, right? And I want to say this because I know when I talk and people don't know me, they probably hear some hypocritical words coming out of my mouth, right? Because I'm yelling support for Black folks. One, you're never going to hear me say down with Whitey. I'm not that cat. I'm sorry. I just don't rock like that. Um, you know, I have wonderful white people as friends, almost family members. Love them to death. White people have helped me out all along the way. From my math teacher in high school, who I failed until he came along, and now I got straight A's. To a wonderful white woman who helped my family in very, very dire times, and she's a family member now. So I don't want that to be lost in what I talk about and where I want us to go. We need help from everyone to move forward, to get involved, to be engaged, to learn, and to be active, right? I do my part if I want to answer your question specifically on my end. I like to take action. I like to talk to young people and show them how the city manager is the most influential man in the city. And you can be the influential man if you choose to. And the bag is associated with that because we have a lot of young people influenced by this notion of the bag, and they think the bag is only grabbed one way. There's so many ways to get the bag, and when you get the bag, you can also generate policy. That's a powerful, powerful position right there. But we don't know that without education. That's why I keep going back to, if we're going to progress and we're going to move forward, we got to get young people involved under the education aspect to teach them and show them and introduce to them. We can do all these things. We can do all these things if we're willing to educate ourselves. That would be my answer to that question, sir.
Thanks for watching. For access to the full-length conversation and all of the 2-hour-long, unedited conversations that I've had on race, click the support link in the description below. Thanks for your support, and see you next time.